Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone just has to be the center of attention? Maybe it's that one friend who always takes charge, or that one colleague who insists on being the hero of every story. Well, if you've met an Aries, you might just recognize this familiar scenario. But here's the twist: Aries believe they're the main character of every story, even when they might not be. And that can lead to some interesting and often humorous situations. Now, imagine this: you're in a group, and there's that person who just can't let go of the spotlight. They take charge, they make decisions, and in their mind, they're always the protagonist. Sound familiar? Well, what if I told you that Aries, the bold, energetic, and sometimes overconfident fire sign, might be the exact reason for this behavior? And not just in the obvious ways you might think. In today's video, we're diving deep into the psychological side of Aries' main character syndrome. We'll explore how their need for leadership and control affects their relationships, their personal growth, and, yes, even their mistakes when they forget they're not the only star in the show. Trust me, you'll want to stick around until the end, because we're not just talking astrology here. We'll also share practical tips on how to balance your own main character energy and use it for growth and deeper connections. Whether you're an Aries or you've just encountered one, this video is for you. But before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you want more astrological insights, self-growth tips, and a peaceful way to understand your place in the universe. And hey, don't forget to share this video with someone who needs a little more zen in their life. Let's jump right in. You know, there's something undeniably magnetic about Aries. It's that energy. They step into a room and suddenly, the entire atmosphere shifts. It's like the world around them becomes a stage. And they, without a doubt, are the star. But here's the kicker: Aries often believe they are the main character. And in their eyes, every story, every event, every moment somehow revolves around them. As we explore this main character syndrome of Aries, I want you to think about the last time you saw an Aries take charge, or maybe even the time you were the Aries who just couldn't help but be the center of attention. You've likely seen it firsthand. Aries is not one to shy away from the spotlight. Let's start with the basics. Aries are known for their natural leadership qualities. It's not just that they want to be in charge, they feel like they have to be. It's almost like they are wired to lead, and that drive comes from a place deep within them. Their connection to Mars, the planet of action and assertiveness, fuels their impulsive and bold nature. Imagine being at a group gathering. There's an Aries among you, and before you know it, they've jumped right in, taking control, organizing everyone, and dictating the flow of the conversation. They're the first one to suggest the plan, even when no one else asked for one. And while this can be incredibly motivating, it also tends to rub people the wrong way when Aries steps in without considering others' input. It's not that Aries intentionally wants to overshadow others. No, it's just that their energy is so intense and their belief in themselves is so strong that they don't always notice when they're dominating the scene. They've convinced themselves that their way is the best way, and they move forward, charging ahead like the fearless leader they believe themselves to be. I've seen this countless times, both in the workplace and in social settings. Aries are often the ones who make decisions quickly, even when others are still hesitating. But here's the catch: sometimes, their quick actions aren't always the best. There's this one situation I remember. An Aries friend of mine was organizing a surprise birthday party for someone close to us. They were on a mission, dictating every detail of the event from start to finish. But, in the process, they forgot one simple thing: listening to the other people involved. Without realizing, they made decisions that didn't sit well with others. And that's when it hit me: Aries enthusiasm. Their drive can sometimes cloud their ability to step back and let others contribute. It's like they're always at the front of the stage, but forget that the show works better when everyone plays their part. As an Aries, you might be wondering, what's the harm in stepping up and taking charge? Well, it's not always about being in control, it's about how you lead. True leadership comes from collaboration. from allowing space for others to lead too. So, the next time you feel the urge to take charge, ask yourself, is this really the best decision, or am I just stepping in because I feel like I have to? It's okay to step back. Trust others, and let the collective energy shine. After all, the main character is never truly alone, there's always an ensemble cast. But Aries, like all signs, are multifaceted. And while they have a natural inclination to lead, this also ties into a deeper psychological factor, confidence, and sometimes, overconfidence. An Aries' boldness can come across as sheer arrogance. But here's something you might not know, it's actually a defense mechanism. Yes, it's true. Beneath that outward bravado, Aries often battle inner self-doubt. They don't always show it. But it's there, lurking in the background. They think, if I don't exude confidence, if I don't push forward, who will? This fear of being vulnerable can make them seem invincible. Even when they're not. I'm sure you've experienced a moment where an Aries was so sure they were right about something, they wouldn't back down, even when all the evidence pointed to the contrary. It's almost like they can't afford to be wrong, because if they admit they're wrong, their carefully constructed identity of being the leader or the main character will crumble. And this is where the overconfidence can become a problem. It's not that Aries don't value truth or growth, they do. But they can struggle to show vulnerability and admit their mistakes. It's an ego thing. A fear of losing control over the narrative they've worked so hard to create. Take a moment and think back. Have you ever found yourself in an argument with an Aries? Where they absolutely refused to admit they were wrong? I know I have. I remember debating with an Aries about a simple decision once, and even when I provided clear facts, they just couldn't accept that they might be mistaken. They were so set on being right that it was like their whole sense of self would unravel if they conceded. In those moments, it's not just about the disagreement, it's about them feeling like they've lost control of their role in the story. If you're an Aries watching this, it's important to recognize this pattern. The truth is, embracing vulnerability doesn't weaken your character, it strengthens it. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, you open the door to growth. And here's the best part, you don't have to give up your main character energy to do this. In fact, true strength lies in recognizing when it's time to be the leader, and when it's time to listen, learn, and grow from others. You know, Aries tend to have this incredible drive to achieve. It's almost like they can't stop. This endless pursuit of success and victory can sometimes be overwhelming, both for them and the people around them. They're constantly moving forward, eager to take the next big step, but there's one key element they often miss: self-awareness. Being self-aware means understanding not just your strengths, but also your blind spots. Aries can be so consumed by their quest to be the hero of the story that they forget to check in with themselves and with others. For Aries, it's not enough to just do it all, they need to feel like they're in control of everything around them. But true power comes when you pause, reflect, and assess your actions, not just charge ahead without understanding the full picture. One practical tip here is to incorporate more mindfulness into your daily routine. When you feel that urge to charge ahead, take a moment to breathe. Ask yourself, am I acting out of instinct or out of awareness? It's a small but powerful shift that can help you tap into your inner wisdom and make better choices. And trust me, this mindfulness doesn't take away from your drive, it amplifies it. You'll find that you'll make more conscious decisions, which in turn leads to greater success. As we continue to dive deeper into Aries' psyche, we'll explore how their energy and leadership play out in relationships and life's bigger picture. But before we get there, let's reflect on something important. The true essence of being the main character isn't about always leading the show. It's about understanding your role in a bigger story, where you can shine. Yes, but also where you can step back and let others shine as well. And when Aries learns this, that's when the magic truly happens. There's something inherently fascinating about how Aries approach life. They have this natural zest for everything they do, a boldness that comes from their fiery spirit. And in their world, they're not just participants, they're the ones who believe the spotlight should always be on them. Sometimes, this main character energy can be empowering. It fuels their ambition, their drive, and their ability to take risks that others might shy away from. But there's another side to it. One that isn't always so obvious. What happens when Aries doesn't realize that the world doesn't revolve around them? What happens when they get so caught up in their narrative that they forget to consider the plotline of others? Let's be honest. We've all seen the Aries who turns a conversation into their own personal movie. You're sitting at a dinner party, and somehow, the conversation always ends up on them, how they handled a situation, how they conquered a challenge, or how they saved the day. It's as though every story that's shared is an opportunity for them to one-up it, just so they can reclaim their position as the center of attention. This isn't always done out of malice, though. Aries simply believes that their experiences are worthy of attention. And in some cases, they're right. Their experiences are bold, exciting, and action-packed, but at times, their energy can overshadow others who are also trying to share their own stories. Aries, in their enthusiasm, forgets that while their life may be one big adventure, other people are living their own journeys too. But here's the thing, when Aries doesn't take a moment to pause and let others share the spotlight, they risk alienating those around them. The constant need to be the main character can create friction, especially in friendships and romantic relationships. Relationships aren't just about your story, they're about both people coming together to create something meaningful. If Aries is always taking center stage, those in their life may start to feel like they don't have a voice at all. And when that happens, resentment builds. It's in those moments that Aries can begin to question why they feel so disconnected, why their relationships seem to lack the depth they crave. So, how does Aries avoid this pitfall? Simple, learn to share the stage. You don't always need to be the one with the microphone. Give others a chance to shine, and you'll notice something incredible happen. They'll feel seen, heard, and appreciated, and in turn, your connection with them will deepen. This doesn't mean Aries has to dim their light, far from it. It simply means learning the art of timing. Knowing when to step back, let others speak, and allow for mutual exchange is key. True leadership is not about always being front and center, but about lifting others up and creating a space where everyone can shine together. The main character doesn't always have to be the loudest in the room. Sometimes, it's the one who knows when to let others take the lead. If you're an Aries watching this and feeling a bit seen right now, don't worry. Recognizing this tendency is the first step toward growth. And growth, after all, is the name of the game. Aries are incredibly self-aware when they choose to be, but their passion and drive sometimes get in the way. This drive can be both a blessing and a curse. It pushes them to accomplish great things, to be bold and to take action when others might hesitate. But it also creates a challenge, the desire to always be right. When Aries feels like they're in the right, they fight to maintain that sense of control. This goes beyond just being right, it's about preserving the story they've told themselves, the idea that they are, and should be, the main character in every situation. Now, this isn't to say that Aries don't value truth. Quite the opposite, actually. But their fear of being wrong can prevent them from acknowledging when they've made a mistake. Their determination to stay on course sometimes blinds them to the fact that growth often happens in those moments when we admit our flaws. Have you ever noticed how an Aries will dig their heels in, even when all the evidence points to them being mistaken? It's not because they want to argue for the sake of arguing. It's because admitting they're wrong would be like acknowledging that they're not the hero of the story. And that can be a tough pill to swallow for a sign that's all about action, success, and moving forward. But here's the thing, real strength comes from the willingness to be vulnerable. The most powerful leaders, the true main characters in life, are those who can admit when they've made a mistake and use that as an opportunity to grow. It's in these moments of vulnerability that Aries can truly shine, not by being perfect, but by showing that even they have room to learn. They're not immune to challenges, and that's okay. Everyone has their moments of weakness, and when Aries embraces that, they unlock a whole new level of depth. One way to help break through this stubbornness is through self-reflection. When you feel yourself digging in your heels, take a step back. Ask yourself, am I really right about this, or am I just trying to protect my narrative? It's a tough question, but it's one that will lead to greater self-awareness. By embracing the possibility that you might be wrong, you open up the door to deeper understanding and growth. And let's not forget how this plays out in relationships. In any meaningful relationship, whether it's with family, friends, or a romantic partner, both people need to feel valued. Aries often struggle with this concept because they can get so wrapped up in their own journey that they forget to give their partner the same attention and consideration. This is where that main character energy can backfire. Relationships are built on balance, two people working together, lifting each other up, and supporting one another. When one person dominates the narrative, it can create imbalance and strain. So, Aries, the next time you find yourself in a conversation, try taking a step back. Let the other person share their story without interrupting or making it about you. You'll find that the connection deepens when you create space for mutual sharing. You can still be the protagonist in your own life, but allow others to be the heroes of their own stories too. Relationships are all about reciprocity, what you give is what you get. And this brings us to another important aspect of Aries' nature, their constant drive to keep moving, to keep pushing forward. It's what makes them such go-getters, always seeking the next big achievement, the next goal. But this relentless drive can sometimes prevent them from taking the time to appreciate where they are in the present moment. Aries are so focused on the destination that they forget to enjoy the journey. They're always charging ahead, often at a pace that leaves them feeling exhausted and disconnected from the beauty of the now. This constant striving for more is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it fuels their ambition and motivates them to achieve incredible things. On the other hand, it can leave them feeling burned out and unfulfilled, because they never pause to reflect on how far they've come. Aries need to learn how to balance their drive with moments of rest and reflection. Achievements are important, but so is the journey, and if Aries can learn to enjoy the ride, they'll find deeper satisfaction in their accomplishments. Take a moment to appreciate where you are. Pause, breathe, and reflect on what you've already achieved. It's easy to get caught up in the next goal, but real fulfillment comes from recognizing how much you've grown. Aries need to learn to celebrate their victories along the way, rather than only focusing on the next battle. By doing so, they'll find more peace in the present moment and greater happiness in their journey. Aries' energy is magnetic, it's what makes them the leaders, the movers, and the shakers. But in their quest to be the main character, they sometimes forget that every story is made better when the characters around them have the chance to shine too. The key for Aries is learning when to step back, when to let others lead, and when to simply enjoy the present moment. It's in these moments of balance that Aries will find true peace, connection, and fulfillment. They'll still be the main character, but now, their story will be richer, more meaningful, and more aligned with the people they share it with. There's something magnetic about Aries, something about the way they walk into a room and effortlessly command attention. It's as if they carry this invisible spotlight with them everywhere they go. But the truth is, this energy can sometimes be overwhelming for others around them. It's not that Aries is doing it on purpose. No, their energy is simply so bright that it spills over into everything they do, leading them to inadvertently make everything about them. And while that can work well in certain situations, especially when they're leading a team or taking charge of a project, it can cause some tension when they forget that other people have their own stories to tell. This tendency to turn conversations or situations into their own personal movie can be a little jarring for those who don't share the same need for attention. I've seen it in group settings, and Aries will begin talking about their day, their achievements, their problems, and before anyone else knows it, the entire conversation is about them. At first, it's fascinating. There's always something exciting about hearing about their adventures, their bold choices, and their relentless drive. But when that main character energy goes unchecked, it can leave others feeling like they're merely extras in the background, waiting for their turn to speak, to be seen, or even to be heard. And this is where Aries' natural leadership can sometimes backfire. When you're constantly in the spotlight, it's easy to forget that others also have stories to tell. They have challenges to face, victories to celebrate, and voices that need to be heard. But in Aries' world, where they're always the one to take charge, it can be difficult to step back and give others space. The issue here isn't that Aries is inherently selfish, it's just that they don't always realize how their actions affect those around them. The key for Aries, then, is to develop a deeper sense of awareness. Instead of dominating the conversation, take a step back and let others take the stage. Ask them about their experiences, their challenges, and their stories. You'll not only learn more about the people around you, but you'll also start to build deeper, more meaningful connections. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone is so caught up in their own narrative that they forget to ask you how you're doing? It's frustrating, isn't it? And Aries, this is where it's important to find balance. You don't have to give up your enthusiasm or your drive to lead the conversation, but a simple shift, making space for others to contribute, can go a long way in nurturing stronger relationships. By allowing others to share their stories, you create an environment where everyone feels valued, and this, in turn, will feed back into your own journey. When you let others shine, you allow yourself to learn and grow from their experiences too. And this makes the entire process of leadership much richer. Now, when we talk about leadership in Aries, it's impossible not to mention their unshakable confidence. Aries is often known for their strong self-assurance. It's one of the reasons why they can tackle challenges head-on and charge forward, no matter what. But here's the thing, sometimes that confidence can be a double-edged sword. Aries' belief in themselves is one of their greatest assets, but it can also prevent them from seeing their own blind spots. This overconfidence is what sometimes leads them to be so sure they're right, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. You've probably seen it, an Aries who refuses to back down from an argument, despite all the facts pointing in the other direction. They become so fixated on being right that they lose sight of the bigger picture. This can create unnecessary friction in relationships, especially when the people around them begin to feel unheard or invalidated. Aries, with their quick decision-making and impulsive nature, sometimes forget that part of leadership is listening, and it's not just about being right, it's about being willing to adjust your perspective when needed. Now, Aries, if this resonates with you, don't feel bad. It's something that's ingrained in your nature, and it's completely natural for you to be so confident in your beliefs. But here's the secret, true growth comes from the ability to recognize when you might be wrong, and embracing that opportunity to learn. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from a situation or argument and later realized you were mistaken? Wouldn't it have been easier if you had allowed yourself to see things from another perspective in the first place? Here's a tip that I think might help. Next time you're in a heated conversation or a disagreement, take a pause. It's easy to get caught up in the intensity of the moment, but a few seconds of reflection can make all the difference. Ask yourself, am I defending my stance because I truly believe it, or am I just protecting my ego? It's a simple question, but it can lead to profound insights about how we navigate the world and our relationships. And Aries, when you embrace this level of self-awareness, you'll find that you're not only a better leader, but you'll also have deeper, more fulfilling connections with others. Moving forward, it's important to address Aries' natural tendency to move fast. It's one of their greatest strengths, their ability to leap into action without hesitation. They don't waste time planning. They just go for it. And while this trait is incredibly valuable in many situations, it can also lead to burnout if Aries isn't careful. Their relentless drive to always be moving forward often means they neglect to pause and take stock of where they are in the present moment. I once had an Aries friend who was constantly on the go. They were always working on a new project, setting a new goal, or pushing themselves to do more. But despite all the success they were achieving, they often looked exhausted and overwhelmed. One day, I asked them, when was the last time you just stopped and celebrated how far you've come? They didn't have an answer. And that, I realized, was the issue. Aries are so focused on the next big thing that they forget to appreciate their current accomplishments. This constant rush to achieve more can lead to exhaustion and frustration. Aries often feel like they need to keep moving forward, but the truth is, taking the time to slow down and celebrate progress is just as important as the drive to move forward. So, Aries, it's time to embrace the concept of rest. And no, I'm not saying you should stop pursuing your dreams, I'm simply suggesting that you learn to appreciate where you are in the moment. Take a break when you need to, celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and acknowledge the hard work you've put in. It's these moments of pause that will help you maintain your energy, allowing you to tackle your next challenge with renewed vigor. Another crucial aspect of Aries' personality is their tendency to act first and think later. This impulsiveness can lead to incredible breakthroughs and creative moments. But it can also cause them to make decisions they later regret. Aries, driven by their intense desire to achieve and be seen as the main character, sometimes forget that reflection is a necessary part of the journey. I've seen it firsthand, an Aries rushing into a new venture without considering all the details, only to find that they've missed an important step. It's like they're so focused on getting to the finish line that they don't take the time to read the map. This impulsiveness isn't always a bad thing, it's one of the things that makes Aries so dynamic and courageous. But there's a delicate balance to be struck. When you move too quickly, you miss out on the richness that comes from careful planning and thoughtful decision-making. So here's a little advice for you, next time you feel the urge to jump into something headfirst, take a moment to slow down. Give yourself space to reflect on the decision. Sometimes, the best moves are the ones that come from a place of thoughtfulness, not impulsiveness. By allowing yourself to reflect before you act, you can avoid some of the pitfalls that come with rushing into things. Trust me, the results will be worth it. Aries' energy is undeniably powerful. But it's in the moments of self-awareness, reflection, and mindfulness that they truly reach their full potential. It's when they realize they don't always need to be the one in control that they become the kind of leader who inspires others. So, Aries, take a breath, let others share the spotlight, and enjoy the journey you're on. The main character doesn't always have to be the loudest in the room. Sometimes, the most powerful presence is the one that knows when to step back and let others shine too. As we continue to explore the energetic and sometimes overwhelming nature of Aries, it's important to touch on another essential trait that defines their role as the main character in their own lives. Aries, driven by their desire for self-expression and personal victory, often find themselves in a constant cycle of striving. They're relentless in their pursuit of success, and while that's an admirable trait, it can also create a sense of isolation when taken to the extreme. You see, Aries, in their quest to maintain their own storyline, sometimes forget that success doesn't always equate to happiness. I remember an Aries friend who, on the surface, seemed like they had it all, a successful career, a circle of friends, and all the outward signs of achievement. But when we'd have deep conversations, I'd notice this underlying feeling of loneliness. It wasn't that they didn't have people around them, it was that they were so focused on achieving their own goals that they forgot to nurture their relationships. There was always a next big thing on the horizon for them, something to conquer, something to prove. And while this determination was admirable, it led to moments where they felt disconnected from the people they cared about. This is a common issue for Aries. They have this powerful drive to win, to be the best, and to achieve greatness, but they often forget that the richest parts of life, those deep, meaningful moments, are found in connection with others. The main character of any good story doesn't succeed in isolation. They need allies, mentors, and companions to make the journey worthwhile. And when Aries forgets this, it can create emotional gaps that even all the success in the world can't fill. So here's a piece of advice for Aries. While it's wonderful to chase your dreams and pursue greatness, remember that success is most fulfilling when shared. Take the time to nurture the relationships that matter most to you. It's not about choosing between success and connection, it's about integrating both. When you create meaningful bonds with others, you'll find that success doesn't feel so lonely. In fact, it becomes much more enjoyable when you have people to celebrate it with. If you're an Aries who feels disconnected, try to recalibrate your focus. Take a break from the relentless chase for success, and instead, put energy into the people who support you. After all, the most fulfilling victories are those we share with others. This brings us to another critical lesson for Aries, the art of self-reflection. One of the most powerful tools in an Aries arsenal is their ability to act with instinct and intuition. But this can also be a double-edged sword. Without reflection, their decisions can sometimes be impulsive, reckless, or even self-sabotaging. Aries tends to live in the moment, moving from one thing to the next without giving much thought to the consequences or the deeper motivations behind their actions. And this is where things can get tricky. Imagine, for a second, that you're in a relationship with an Aries. You might have noticed how their desire to act quickly and confidently can sometimes cause them to make decisions that they don't fully think through. Perhaps they'll say something in the heat of the moment, or make a sudden move in their career, only to later realize it wasn't the right call. It's easy for Aries to feel like they've failed when they act impulsively. But the reality is that mistakes can be valuable learning experiences if they take the time to reflect. Aries doesn't always love slowing down. They prefer to keep moving, pushing forward, and taking action. But self-reflection is essential to growth, and it's something that can significantly help Aries evolve, not just as individuals, but also in their relationships. Taking a moment to pause, reflect, and ask yourself why you did something or why you made a particular decision can give you insight into your deeper motivations. It's easy to get lost in the thrill of the chase, but slowing down to reflect can provide clarity and help you make better choices in the future. It's a powerful practice that I've seen make a huge difference in the lives of Aries who embrace it. By allowing yourself to take a step back and examine your actions, you can avoid the rash decisions that sometimes lead to regret. Try journaling, meditating, or simply setting aside time each week to reflect on your actions. It doesn't have to be complicated, it just requires a moment of honesty with yourself. The more you practice this, the more you'll find that your decisions come from a place of thoughtfulness and awareness, not just instinct. The last lesson that Aries can learn on their journey to true self-mastery is the power of letting go of the main character narrative. I know it's hard, after all. Aries are wired to be in control. But sometimes, the greatest strength lies in stepping back and allowing others to lead, to let go of the reins and trust that everything will unfold as it should. This can be one of the hardest things for Aries to do because, for so long, they've seen themselves as the hero, the one who takes charge and who leads the way. But there is real beauty in sharing that role with others. Think about any great story you've watched or read. The hero doesn't always have to carry the entire weight of the narrative. In fact, some of the best stories involve a strong supporting cast, a group of people who contribute their unique strengths, ideas, and perspectives. So, Aries, imagine how powerful your life could be if you let go of the constant need to be in control. Imagine how much more you could learn, how much more joy you could experience, if you allowed others to step into the role of the main character in certain moments. This doesn't mean giving up your independence or your leadership, far from it. It means embracing a more collaborative approach to life. Sometimes, the most powerful thing an Aries can do is allow someone else to take the lead, to trust in others, and to recognize that it's okay to share the spotlight. This can be a major shift for Aries, but it's one that can bring deeper connections and more fulfilling experiences. I think the most profound lesson Aries can learn in this journey is that being the main character doesn't mean doing it all alone. It's about knowing when to step forward and when to let others shine. When Aries begins to embrace this, they'll find that the story becomes richer, more exciting, and infinitely more rewarding. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Aries, you have the power to lead, to inspire, and to make things happen. But your greatest strength lies not just in charging ahead, but in knowing when to pause, reflect, and let others take the reins. True leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, it's about knowing when to speak up and when to step back. It's about sharing the spotlight, recognizing the strengths of others, and embracing the beauty of connection. As you continue to explore your own journey, I encourage you to take these lessons to heart. Remember, being the main character of your life story doesn't mean always being in control. It means knowing how to balance action with reflection, leadership with collaboration, and independence with connection. If you've enjoyed today's video and found it helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and share it with anyone you think would benefit from these insights. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How do you see Aries' main character energy playing out in your life? Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for being here with me. And remember, life's greatest stories are built on connection, growth, and the wisdom we gain from one another. Until next time, stay peaceful, stay mindful, and keep growing. See you in the next video.